Crossovers in fighting games are incredibly commonplace. One of the more requested crossovers is the King of Fighters and Street Fighter. Part of why they're so heavily requested is because they're two of the largest titans in the 2D fighting game space. However, that's not what this video is about. This video is about Dead or Alive and King of Fighters crossing over, but in KOF 15. But why are we covering these two games crossing over? Glad you asked. In the past, King of Fighters characters have appeared in Dead or Alive. In Dead or Alive 5, Mai Shiranui appeared. She made a second appearance in Dead or Alive 6, and Kula Diamond also appeared in 6. Obviously, this sets precedence for future crossovers because SNK and Team Ninja obviously have at least a decent working relationship. So this brings us to a bit of housekeeping before we get into the potential team compositions. Before I get into a detailed breakdown of the teams, I'm going to say Kasumi is going to be in every single team except for one. This is because Kasumi has basically been Dead or Alive's pinup girl since 1996. Not only that, but Kasumi is also a ninja, and ninjas are abound in KOF. You have Mai, and you have Andy Bogard. KOF is big on small interactions between characters, and Kasumi would have great interactions with both Mai and Andy. So that makes her a lock on each team except for one. So let's get into the first team. Okay, so the first team is gonna be called Team Ninja, because it references the developer. Do I really have to say this though? This team will be comprised of, wait for it, ninjas. So who will be on Team Ninja beyond Kasumi? The second option will be Ryo Hayabusa. Hayabusa is on this team because he's a popular character in his own right, and it'd be cool to see Hayabusa and King of Dinosaurs doing Izuna drops on each other. However, the other reason Hayabusa is on this team is because he's not only one of the most popular Dead or Alive characters, but he's also popular because of his own game series, which is Ninja Gaiden. Who knows, maybe that series will make a comeback in its own right soon. Okay, so we've got 2/3 of this team built. Who's the final team member? You could make a case for either Hayate, or you could make a case for Ayane. Personally, I'm gonna go with Ayane in this spot. While Hayate is a popular character, her interactions with Kasumi are more spicy, so that's something SNK could sink their teeth into. Also, Ayane's moveset would be interesting to see in a 2D space. So, who's going to comprise team number 2? While a lot of people have ragged on the newer entries in the Dead or Alive franchise, there are two characters who have become obscenely popular, so we'll build a team around them. It'll also be a nice callback to the New Faces team comprising Chris, Yashiro, and Shirmi, three of the most popular characters in the King of Fighters franchise. So how am I defining Team DOA newcomers? I'm limiting it to characters who have only appeared in Dead or Alive 5 and Dead or Alive 6. So, who are we going to pick from? So far, we have Camila, an MMA fighter. She debuted in Dead or Alive 5, so she only has 2 games under her belt. Her hybrid striker-grappler gameplay would make for some fun interactions with KOF veteran Blue Mary. Reg is another option, and is another newcomer to the Dead or Alive franchise. Like Mila, he debuted in DOA 5. He's a Taekwondo specialist, so he'd have some interesting interactions with Kim Cap-Wan and Luong, and if she ever appears in KOF 15, he would also have some interesting interactions with Mei Li Jinju. So far, Reg is making a strong case to gain a spot on this team. Another option to consider would be Marie Rose. Since she first appeared in Dead or Alive 5, she has been an incredibly popular character, mostly down to her looks, because an obvious lolly character hadn't really been tackled in Dead or Alive before this character. Her martial arts of choice is Systema, a grappling type of combat. There also isn't a Systema user in KOF, so that'd be an interesting martial art to see in the King of Fighters. So we have 3 more potential options to consider for the newcomers team. Let's explore them now. These include Honoka, who's now one of DOA's pinup girls for very obvious reasons, Diego, whose only appearance to date is Dead or Alive 6, and Nico, who also debuted in 6. I'm going to break down Diego and Nico's playstyles before I get into Honoka. Diego is a street fighter who has an overly aggressive playstyle, which is always a popular one in the fighting game community. But he also hasn't really gained much popularity in the Dead or Alive community, so I'd say it's safe to eliminate him. Nico makes a stronger case for being added to this team. However, she uses a martial arts style called Penka Silat, which I probably butchered saying. It focuses on using the whole body during combat. While not used in KOF, Nico's style could match up very well with Benimaru's. Since Benny uses electric-based attacks, the interaction pre- and post-battle would be interesting. Plus, the fights would be electric. The final option for this team, of course, would be Honoka. She's a fan favorite, so she has a lot of weight behind being added. Plus, she's known to copy the moves of other DOA fighters. This could make for potential fun interactions with Yuri, since Yuri has the same mechanic going in the King of Fighters. Now that we know who the fighters are, let's break down who's making the team and why the others have been cut. The first member of DOA newcomers is going to be Mila. Her fast, hybrid grappler gameplay makes her a lock in my books. She'd suit the gameplay of KOF, she'd have fun interactions with Blue Mary, and her bread and butter could either be quick strike-based character, or you could have a lot of command grabs with her. Also, since KOF loves command grabs, she'd definitely make the cut. The next member of this team will be Marie Rose, just off popularity alone. Since Rig, Diego, and Nico aren't popular amongst Dead or Alive fans, they get cut. When making these teams, I highly factored in what would likely sell as DLC. That means Marie Rose makes it on the roster just because of her popularity. She'd sell the DLC by herself, probably. The final member will of course be Honoka, again because of popularity, but the fact she can copy moves after seeing them means she has a similar function to Yuri, and their personalities would just play off each other nicely. So, with Team Newcomers, you have two very popular characters who will sell the DLC by themselves, and one character that fits KOF like a boxing glove. Wait, Godo, where are you going? Why are you walking out? Please don't tell me I've pissed off my editor. Well, shit, the editor's gone. How's the show going to continue? So, we've covered two potential teams. Who else could we do as a potential team that would bring over the Dead or Alive fanbase to the King of Fighters? One option I thought of, well, I don't know what to call this one other than Team Sisters. So what would this team comprise of? The team will be comprised of Kasumi, Helena, and Kokoro. Kasumi, because she's on every team except for the newcomers, also she's the sister to both Hayate and Ayane. Helena gets added because she'd have some interesting interactions with Athena because they're both singers, albeit Helena is an opera singer and Athena is a Japanese idol. So there's some interactions that SNK could come up with. She's also a sister to Kokoro, so that's why Kokoro gets added to this particular team's roster. Beyond the fact she's also refined and could have some interactions with Chizuru. Maybe not the strongest team name, but I had to include Helena, and I had to include Kokoro. Honestly, I can't think of any other reasons for this team to exist, so let's move on to the final team. So, the final team will be called Dream Team. This is basically my dream team, even though I would probably trade Kasumi for Helena on this one. So, who makes this team's roster? We already know Kasumi, so I won't go into greater detail on this one. She's on every team bar one. The next team member is Kokoro, mainly because she was one of my mains in the Dead or Alive series, and her style would play nicely against Chizuru. Also, it'd be cool to see Kokoro's crazy mix-ups in a 2D fighting game. So, who's the final option? The final choice for this team is Hitomi. Not only is she fan favorite Dead or Alive girl, she was also, for a short time, the pinup girl for the Extreme series of games. Also, the third reason is she's a karate-based character, and we have a few karate characters on the King of Fighters roster already. Those being Robert Garcia, Ryo Sakazaki, and his sister Yuri. For those reasons alone, Hitomi makes a strong case for making this roster. She's also yet another beginner-friendly character, and she'd have a lot of Shoto tendencies, making her a relatively safe pick. While Dead or Alive might be a dormant franchise for now, so was the King of Fighters when Dead or Alive 5 added Mai. So there's always a possibility Team Ninja might be looking to add their characters into crossover games. But what are your thoughts on my team options? What characters would you like to see? If I get enough comments, I'll consider doing a Dead or Alive Teams video commenters edition. Thanks again for watching my video. If you liked this video, some more of my videos should be popping up on screen right now. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're liking my content. Also, if you want to check out my Twitch, Discord, or social media, those will be popping up on screen now, and links will be in the description below. Also, thanks again to Goto808 for the editing job. His contact information will also be popping up on screen, as will his social media and contact information be in the description as well.